Part 2. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 11. The big girl and area on the side looked straight and happy. Feng Shi glared at them, and immediately persuaded Man Bao, little ant, our baskets are not easy to sell. If you sell them with flowers and plants, it will be even more difficult to sell. These flowers and plants are everywhere on the mountain. Who in our village is missing this? But I see that they like it very much. I was going to hand it to them just now, and they all took it. Man Bao felt that they were just stinging, and they were just reluctant to spend money. Of course you want what you give for free, but it's not worth the money. Man Bao thought about it for a while, and had his own ideas. No, if the flowers and plants are not good looking, they won't be paid to others, so we have to find some people who don't pick and let them see our beautiful flowers and plants. Definitely buy it. Feng said, but everyone in the market is stingy. Man Bao slumped his shoulders. Okay, then we won't sell it today, let's give it away for free, and we'll sell it when we find someone who doesn't pick it up. Feng Shi was satisfied, and let them arrange the baskets they brought with those flowers and plants. Da Ya and Er Ya immediately started to help. Not to mention, the baskets do look a lot better after being arranged in this way, and they are particularly conspicuous when they are lined up in a row, which immediately attracts everyone's attention. Even if there is no shortage of baskets at home, they stop to take a second look, and when they came across a basket that happened to be needed at home, they went up to ask the price directly. The prices of things in the market have been the same for several years, and there are very few price increases, so their baskets are the same price as other people's, and Zhou Lang's craftsmanship is not bad. Either pay for it, or take it in barter. The items that can be exchanged in the market are usually eggs, cloth and grain. And cloth is very expensive, and they have to hand in a certain amount of cloth every year, and most of them still exchange eggs and grain from the family. Of course there is money, but less. After one trip, Mr. Feng collected a lot of grain and eggs, which were sorted into baskets and baskets. Seeing that the sun was getting bigger and bigger, Feng Shi glanced at the end of the street worriedly. Her husband and uncle hadn't come back yet. Seeing that the children were a little embarrassed, they knew that they were all hungry, so they took out 2 cakes from the back basket, tore them apart, and gave them to them. Well, just eat a little with water, and when your uncle and father come back, they will come back. I can go home. Friday Lang and Saturday Lang also took a small half of the cake from their sister-in-law, nibbled them separately, squatted and sighed. It must be hard to sell, and the autumn harvest has just passed, and no one is short of food. Bah, Tong Yan has no scruples. The wind blows away, Xiang Gong and the others will go smoothly. Feng said, 5th uncle, you can say more auspicious words. Isn't it easy to say auspicious words? I make a wish with the god of wealth in my dreams every day, hoping that our family will be rich and rich, but I haven't seen it work. Man Bao was very interested, so he asked the system in his heart, Keek, is the god of fortune in the sky? Can you see it? System, no, and there should be no god of wealth in this world. Why not? We worship him every year, as well as the kitchen lord, the landlord. System, people in the future are firm in atheism, so they believe that there are no gods in the world. This is the exact opposite of the story that Man Bao had heard since she was a child. She was stunned for a while, then quickly figured it out and said excitedly, it must be because there are no gods in your world, they all came to our world. System, it's not bad for you to think so. Man Bao said, can the immortal be more powerful than you? Can you also change things with a bang, and change them again with a bang, and then can you fulfill my wish with a bang? My wish to fulfill the host is only on the premise that the host has completed the tasks I assigned, so there is no gift for nothing in this world. Man Bao nodded thoughtfully, you and the immortals are the same, I think the immortals must think the same way. But the immortals won't talk to me, how do I know what their mission is? The system stopped talking. However, Man Bao thought about it by himself, and let him save the immortals by himself. Man Bao soon had thoughts, and shouted in his heart, I know. Then he pulled Wu Lang and said, you can't do that, just make a wish when you go to bed at night. It shows that your heart is not sincere. You have to help the god of wealth to do things, so that it can satisfy your wishes. Friday Lang asked, what can I help him with? For example, cleaning for him, serving him tea and meals. Man Bao said with reason, that's what I did to Mr. Zhuang. I cleaned the house for him, and he taught me to read, and I served him tea. When the meal is delivered, Mr. will give me the completed paper, and you have to treat the god of wealth the same way. Friday Lang laughed and asked Man Bao, where is the god of wealth? The little friends looked up at the blue sky together, and sighed with regret, he is in the sky. Feng Shi listened to their children's words with no expression, and sorted out the things in exchange wholeheartedly, but the villagers who set up a stall nearby were full of admiration and praised her, sister-in-law, your children are really good. Clever. Their children don't think about these things. When they say these things, they just go up the mountain to find wild fruits to eat every day besides playing in the mud. Feng Shi smiled at them and said, children, as soon as they come out, they are used to it. No one knows what they are thinking in their little brains. Everyone laughed happily, yes, we don't understand what our children say before the age of 3. Feng Shi didn't eat the cake, so he specially reserved one for Zhou Dalan and Zhou Lang. Seeing that Man Bao was holding a small piece of cake and eating it with relish, but he couldn't eat another piece for a long time, he knew that she was not used to it. After all, I haven't traveled far, and I always eat hot at home. After thinking for a while, Feng asked Wu Lang to look at the booth, and she took out 2 eggs, planning to go to the village to find a family to cook the eggs for the sister-in-law to eat. As soon as Man Bao saw her go, he immediately took out a handkerchief from his arms, actually from Keek. Open the handkerchief, and there are candies wrapped in oil paper. This time, the thorns will give more rewards, because in the future, this thing will be extinct, and the encyclopedia has its records and photos, but there is no real record. Man Bao not only recorded its fruit, but also recorded a seedling, so the encyclopedia gave her 50 points generously for the first time. Keek deducted her historical debt, which was actually the points Keek used to exchange his savings for her candy to lure her into digging grass, a total of 18 points. In the end, there were still 32 points left in Manbao, which was the most points in the history of Manbao. For those who had previously entered flowers and plants, only 1 point could be collected from several types. It was also won by Keek and the encyclopedia, because the plants she entered before were all recorded in the encyclopedia and will still exist in the future. That 1 point is the encouragement point. However, Man Bao thinks that the word of encouragement is quite good, and he has always been proud of it. Every time he gets the points, he will exchange them for candy. He never thought of repaying Keek's debts. This kind of candy for children is the cheapest. 1 point can be exchanged for a large bag, and there are about 100 in a large bag. Keek said that it is weighed by kilograms, and the wholesale price is very cheap. There are all kinds of colors. Man Bao particularly liked the colorful ones at first, but for her safety, Keek helped her buy candies that were yellowish and reddish, similar in color to the current candies. As for the ones with particularly gorgeous colors, Keek once bought a pack for her and left them in the system to eat slowly. Most of the other candies were distributed by her, because she is a generous and good child. Manbao never hides sugar when he has sugar, and from time to time he will put one in the mouth of his brothers, nephews, and nieces. As the eldest girl Arya and Sanya who have the best relationship with Manbao, they eat the most candy. In addition, Lao's Hutu, Qianxi, and several sisters-in-law can always get her sugar water, so her candy is digested very quickly. As soon as the points arrived in her account last night, she bought a pack of candy, and then peeled off a lot of them in the system. She also dug out from her little treasure box and wrapped the oil paper that her second brother brought back from buying candy for her. Take your own little handkerchief and wrap it again. Seeing that the second sister-in-law was gone, Man Bao quietly took out the candy and whispered to his friends, "Shall we sell these candies?" Wu Lang and the others couldn't help drooling when they saw these candies, and asked, "Man Bao, I remember that the second brother came to the market last time to buy all the candy we ate. Where did you get it?" Man Bao Gang associates Keek with the gods, so he is very mysterious and proudly said, "The gods gave it." The little friends didn't believe it, because before she clearly said that it was given by a friend named Keek, and then she said that it was given by their descendants, and she also said that it was given by a person called System. So everyone doesn't believe the words of the younger sister, little aunt. Although I don't believe it, I still have to ask a routine question, and then I start to stare at the candy and say, it may not be easy to sell so many, should we eat some first? Yeah, it's not easy to sell. Datu also encouraged Man Bao, let's eat a little first, it's better to sell less. Man Bao is not stupid, so he wrapped the sugar and said, no, now the family is in difficulty, we have to learn to endure hardship, so there is no sugar to eat for the time being. Everyone bowed their heads in frustration. Man Bao comforted them, it's fine when our family is rich, then my candy will not be sold, I will give you all to eat, and now I have to buy medicine for my mother. Yes, the reason why Man Bao is so eager to sell candy is that he wants to buy medicine for her mother. Yesterday, Qian's medicine stopped. Last night, he was out of breath for half the night. At first, Man Bao fell asleep. Later, her father got up and poured water for her mother to stroke her back, and she woke up, and then slipped into the space to peel off the candy wrappers. She feels that nothing is more important than buying medicine for her mother now. Everyone is quite filial, and they agreed immediately after hearing the words, and said they would work hard to sell the candy. So everyone started to spread out to find suitable buyers, and the other party had to bring children and dress better. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 12. Wu Wulang and Saturday Lang were very old, and they were a little embarrassed, but they were very bold. When they saw a child who thought they could buy candy, they went up to stop them and asked, "Do you want to buy candy?" Man Bao immediately went up with the oil paper, opened it to him, and said proudly, "Our candy is very delicious, do you want to buy it?" The child swallowed and looked at his parents. The parents are not stupid and asked, "This candy looks different from the candy we usually buy, is it candy?" "Of course, I've eaten it all," Man Bao said with his chest out, "it's delicious, even better than the one sold in the market." The parents were a little amused and said, "You have eaten, but we haven't. How do you know if you lied?" Man Bao was stunned for a moment, thinking about it too, so he took out a candy and generously stretched it out, "Then why don't you try it?" The child was about to pick it up, but his parents immediately grabbed his hand and asked, "Aren't you taking the opportunity to want us to buy it?" "Of course not," Man Bao said righteously, "I wouldn't do such a bad thing, you eat it, if it's not true, no money." Wu Wulang felt that Man Bao was very stupid and couldn't help it. He rushed up, took the candy and crushed it with his hands, and then picked up a small piece for them, "Here, you guys try it." Wu Wulang thought about it and felt that he couldn't just eat it for his parents, so he also picked up a small piece for the child to eat. Everyone didn't mind that the sugar was rolled out by his hands. After tasting it, his eyes lit up slightly. This sugar is so much sweeter than the sugar in the market. The child's mother immediately asked, "How do you sell this candy?" Man Bao had already discussed with the system, so he had a good price, 5 for a penny. The child's mother's eyes flashed slightly and said, "It's too expensive, we can't afford it, can you make it cheaper?" Man Bao was a little disappointed. Seeing that they were dressed so well, he thought they were richer. She shook her head and said, "Forget it, let's find someone else." After all, he dragged his head and ran to find the next customer, leaving behind the stunned parents. They were negotiating the price, not saying that they would not buy it. They should not be the ones who pretended to leave and waited to keep the drama. When Friday Lang and Saturday Lang met, they praised their sister for having a backbone. They had eaten this candy before and felt that it was much more than this amount of money. You must know that the sugar sold in the market is also the same price. Man Bao walked quickly, but now he was not willing to change customers. He hurriedly chased after the child to stop the child, and asked, "Can't it be cheaper?" This price was set by Keek after helping Man Bao to analyze it. In fact, the price set at the beginning was 3 penny, because Keek believed that their sugar content was much higher than the current sugar. The value is high, and of course the price is also high. But Man Bao heard from Keek that the candy sold in the market is 5 penny for a penny. She felt that if hers were more expensive, she would definitely not be able to sell it. Anyway, she had points and was not short of candy, so she expressed it generously. Same price as in the market. Therefore, Man Bao knew the price. She knew that this was the lowest price. She was a principled child, and it was impossible to reduce the price. And she wouldn't think that the parents were bargaining, but simply thought they couldn't afford it, so she looked at the little boy regretfully and shook her head to refuse. This look made the child sad, but he was so sad, he immediately burst into tears, hugged his mother's leg and shouted, "I want to buy candy, I want to buy candy." The parents feel that the child is a little ignorant, so what's wrong with lowering the price? Seeing that their faces were bad, Friday Lang and Saturday Lang stepped forward and stood behind Man Bao. The parents froze for a while, then forced a smile and said, "Forget it, we will take as much as you have." Man Bao stared, "Is he so rich?" She immediately opened her oiled paper and said happily, "A total of 24 pennies. The couple frowned slightly, "Didn't you just crush one?" Friday Lang immediately stretched out the candy in his heart, "We haven't eaten it." The couple said, "Then we don't want it either. You need a penny less. We bought so much." Friday Lang was so angry, but Man Bao didn't know where to get a piece of candy and put it on the oiled paper. He looked at the couple happily and said, "Well, isn't it good, you can count." The couple. They counted, and asked again, "Can I exchange it for something else?" The Man Bao children finally felt their unfriendliness, covered the oil paper, and refused, "No." Friday Lang thought it was okay, so he stabbed Man Bao on the back. Man Bao twisted, and turned around and glared at him and said, "The drugstore uses money to buy medicine, not eggs, nor food." Only then did the couple know that they were going to buy medicine. After thinking about it, they didn't bargain anymore, and counted out 4 cents for them. Man Bao has a lot of money in her hands. The red envelopes given by her parents and brothers during the Chinese New Year, her nephews and nieces are all turned over, so she can take it herself. But it was the first time that she really made money by herself, so she carefully looked at the 4 coins and found that it was no different from the previous ones, so she carefully put it in the handkerchief and held it tightly. Wu Wulang waited for them to leave before saying to Man Bao, "It's too cheap, ours is good candy." "That's how they are sold in the market," Man Bao insisted. "The rice is still divided into low grade, medium, and high grade, and the price of different rice is different. Our candy is high grade, so it is more expensive." Wu Wulang said, "If they don't believe our candy is good, we will just crush it like this time and give them a little taste." After thinking about it carefully, Man Bao thought it was a good idea, and asked Keek again. Seeing that he agreed, he nodded, and said, "Okay, then we'll do it again next time." After earning money, everyone turned their attention to the broken candy in Wu Lang's hand, and everyone swallowed in unison. After earning money with candy, Man Bao finally felt the beauty of candy, so he also felt delicious. She gave everyone one by one, and everyone got a small piece, and she put the last bit in her mouth. There was only a very small piece, and the moment it touched the tip of the tongue, it was dyed with a touch of sweetness, and then the sugar melted, and she swallowed it and it was gone. Manbao blinked, feeling that this bit of candy tasted better than any candy she had ever eaten before. She thought it was very strange and asked Keek, "I never thought this candy was delicious before, Keek, did you change the variety?" The system said, "No, the same variety, the same manufacturer, the difference is because the host finally feels the rarity and benefits of sugar." Manbao didn't understand it very well, but she had her own understanding. Is it better to sell the candy? Great, I will sell the candy in the future, and then keep one to eat, so that it's delicious. The system was silent and did not stop her. Sell it. If you want to sell, you have to buy it. If you spend all the points, you should earn points, right? The editor said, I heard that someone is scolding me recently, so you can add more. Plus 5 days. Me, who said that? Nothing. However, the editor is determined to go his own way, so there is another update at 8 o'clock in the evening. In addition, Yuja feels that she is getting older, and she is currently taking care of her health. She will go to bed early in the future. The cultivator next door will also try to update it at around 6 p.m., and will notify you when there is an update. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 13. When Feng came over with a bowl of boiled eggs, a group of children had already finished the candy, and were surrounding Manbao looking at her 4 cents. Feng Shi was still stunned when he saw the money, and asked, "Little aunt, where did you get the money?" Manbao raised his head proudly, "We earned it ourselves, we earned it by selling sugar." Feng Shi thought it was the candy that her husband bought for Manbao before, and said helplessly, "Why don't you eat it, but sell it instead? It's for your health." Every time Tuesday Lang came to the market, he would buy a penny of candy when he went back, and only took one out for the children to turn into sugar water to drink, and the remaining 4 would be full of treasures. It's not that they dote on their treasures and don't hurt the children. It was a sentence that the doctor said when Manbao was a child, "This child has a weak spleen and stomach, shortness of breath and fatigue, eat more eggs and honey." At that time, the family situation was not very good. Manbao was only a few months old and could not eat the bitter concoction, so he could only pour egg water and honey water. That honey was bought by Lao's Hutu after begging several nearby villages to spend a lot of money. That thing is hard to find, rare, and extremely expensive. Later, the doctor said, without honey, maltose is also fine. They all belong to the lung meridian and strengthen the spleen and stomach. It can be said that Manbao can grow so big and so white and fat, and the eggs and sugar at home are particularly credited. Also because Manbao has been getting healthier in the past 2 years, the Zhou family felt that the doctor's words were really right. They couldn't give Manbao other good things, but the eggs were laid by their own chickens, and there was still money to buy sugar. 1 episode for 3 days, she can get 4 candies every time she goes to the market, so in Manbao's heart, she is really not short of candy, so that when Keek and her first officially met and used candy to bribe her, she not very buying. Later, she ate the candy given by Keek, but she also disliked it too sweet, and finally shared a little for her nephews and nieces as before. Seeing that their eyes narrowed with joy, Manbao became good friends with Keek, who suddenly appeared. Manbao is not short of sugar, because in addition to the ones bought at home, Keek also rewards her from time to time, but Feng doesn't know. She glared at Weivu Lang and Saturday Lang, who didn't know how to persuade them, and handed the bowl to Manbao. "You're hungry, the second sister-in-law boiled eggs for you, eat them quickly." Manbao held a bowl and asked Feng Shi first, "Second sister-in-law, you can take a bite too, you didn't eat the cake just now. Feng Shi smiled and pushed back, I'm not hungry yet, I'll eat with them when your eldest brother and second brother come back. Man Bao has no doubts, because she also likes to eat with her family. Hey, why did she eat the cake without waiting for the eldest brother and the second brother? Seems a little sorry for them. Man Bao thought, and gave the eggs to the big head and them. Everyone shook their heads and gave them candy, but they didn't want to eat eggs. Although they wanted to eat them, they knew that the eggs were not eggs, but medicine for my aunt. Man Bao ate all the eggs, and then asked Feng to take her to buy medicine for her mother. Feng rubbed her head and smiled, second sister-in-law has no money on her, we will go when your elder brother and the others come back. Man Bao handed over the handkerchief and said, I have money. Feng sighed, that's not enough. My mother-in-law takes medicine all the year round, but she is actually taking the cheapest medicine. It can only cure the symptoms but not the root cause. She can only take care of it slowly. There are two prescriptions that Jian often drinks. One can be bought from a doctor in Dali village. This is the only doctor in the 4 nearby villages. Except for some of their medicines, they come from pharmacies, and most of them come from doctors. Harvested from the mountain. Buying from him, a pair of medicine only costs 8 cents, and their family has already saved a lot of money. A pair of medicine will be fried 4 times, which is Qian's medicine for 2 days. If Qian's condition worsened, he could only go to the pharmacy in the county town to buy another prescription medicine. There was a more expensive medicine on that medicine, and it cost 20 cents a pair. Feng really has no money. The people who come to buy baskets and dustpans today are all bartering, but they have received a lot of eggs and food, but they have no money. No way, everyone could only squat behind the booth and wait for Zhou Dalan and Tuesday Lang to come back. Afternoon, Zhou Dalan and Tuesday Lang pushed the cart back with unsightly expressions, and the 2 large bags of grain were still on the cart. Feng Shi was startled, trotted forward to help push the car over, and asked, why didn't it sell? On Tuesday, Lang said with an ugly face, the price is too cheap, only 8 cents per bucket of grain. Feng Shi couldn't help but shout, only 8 when? Wasn't it 10 before? Zhou Dalan squatted on the ground and said, the grain has come down. This year's harvest is not bad. It is said that there is no shortage of grain in the grain shop. They are all from the villages. Zhou Dalan and Zhou Lang talked with each other for a long time, but they could not raise the price. The family was really short of money. The brothers were not willing to sell the grain so cheaply, so they pulled it again. Return. Feng Shi couldn't help blushing, what should I do then? On Tuesday, Lang squatted on the ground for a long time and said, someone wants to change hemp cloth at the market. We can exchange grain for cotton cloth for shoes, but mother's medicine must be bought with money. The food still has to be sold, no, we will go to the county town tomorrow to see, maybe it will be better than the market price. Man Bao immediately took out his 4 cents, big brother, second brother, I have money. Seeing the 4 coins, Zhou Dalan and Zhou Lang were stunned for a moment and asked, where did you come from? Sell candy. Zhou Dalan took it, sighed and said, I still lack 4 cents. Man Bao wondered if she had to peel 20 more candies and sell them, and Tuesday Lang had already stood up and said, I'll take something and exchange it with someone. On Tuesday, Lang had many acquaintances in the market. He took some from the wheat harvested by Feng's family, and left after a few ounces. It didn't take long for him to come back with 5 pennies. Zhou Dalan was very curious, who did you exchange with? Everyone came to the village market for very little money. I exchanged it with Pharaoh who sells sugar. He uses wheat to make sugar. I sold it to him at full price. Zhou Dalan breathed a sigh of relief and handed him the money from Man Bao. On Tuesday, Lang used the money to buy a pair of medicines, and the number of people in the market began to decrease, and everyone was in no mood to set up stalls anymore. Everyone is home. The cloth was handed over to the old lady, who assigned the task to cut the clothes, while Zhou Dalan and Zhou Zhoulang went to talk to the old Zhutu. Man Bao stepped in and followed behind. When Zhou Dalan and Zhou Zhoulang saw her walking behind their hands like their father, they couldn't help sweating a bit. They simply carried her to their lap, and then reported to the old Zhutu about the situation in the market. Hearing that the grain could not be sold for a price, Lao Zhutu wanted to smoke again. He sighed and said, "I need some cash at home, not to mention that your mother needs to take medicine. Do you occasionally need it urgently?" On Tuesday, Lang also nodded, "During this period of time, I went to the market and accumulated a lot of eggs, and I had to get them in the county town. Although there are occasional people buying eggs at the Dali village market, most of them are exchanged for grain." In the end, on Tuesday, Lang had to sell the grain to a grain shop to make money. Therefore, on Tuesday, Lang rarely sells eggs at the market, but he takes them to the county seat, where eggs are better sold than grain. Old Joe nodded, rubbed his old smoking gun and said, "The day after tomorrow, you two will follow me to the school tomorrow. Zhou Dalan and Tuesday Lang should go." Only then did Man Bao express his opinion, "Father, I'm going to the county too. The editor likes you to praise her. In fact, I also like you to praise me." Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 14. Old Zhou Tiou glanced at his daughter and asked, "What are you doing in the county seat?" Man Bao couldn't say that she was going to sell candy, because the family actually kept guessing that her candy was given by Mr. Zhuang or a student in the school. She was afraid that they would mention this when they went to apprenticeship tomorrow. "So I can only find another excuse, I'm going to gain knowledge." Tuesday Lang said, "You are a little baby, what knowledge do you want to learn? Wait until you grow up a bit." But when she grows up, the family will not be short of money, and today, Man Bao's harvest is still quite large. She feels that she needs to verify her summary. So she insisted, "No, I'll go the day after tomorrow, and the fifth and sixth brothers will also go, and let them take me, no need for the eldest brother and the second brother to worry about it." The old man stared solemnly. "Will Man Bao be afraid of him?" "Of course not." She slid directly from Zhou Dalan's legs to the ground, jumped up and hugged Lao Zhutu's arm, wrapping around him like twisting a twist. "Father, father, just promise me." Seeing that he was indifferent, Man Bao squeezed his small fist and gave him a slap on the shoulder. "Dad, I'll buy you some candy, you promise me." "Will Lao Zhutu be bought by Tang? He is not a child." "But, where did you get the money?" "I'll earn it, Dad. If you let me go to the county seat, I'll be able to earn money." Man Bao had already beaten his left shoulder to his right for his promise. Zhou Dalan couldn't help laughing when he saw it, and interceded for her. "Dad, otherwise let her go, just the day after tomorrow. In addition to bringing food, you have to bring eggs." The second child came back with a lot of eggs, "and this thing can't be put on the board. In the car, you have to carry it on your back." Lang I thought on Tuesday, too, young sister doesn't seem to have been to the county seat yet. Since the fifth and sixth are also going, I want to bring some dustpans and baskets. The price in the county seat is a little higher than that in the market. Can earn a fortune. The old Zhutu did not speak. Man Bao beat him harder and harder. "Father, you promise, promise." From the left ear to the right ear, Lao Zhutu was so irritated by her that he waved his hand. Okay, let's go. It's just that your elder brother and the others have to go out before dawn. Can you get up?" "Get up, I got up early." "If you believe in her, there is a ghost." Old Zhou Tiou said, "If you can't get up, we won't call you. You can't cry if you can't go." Man Bao was full of confidence. "I will definitely get up." Immediately, I told the system in my heart, "Keek, you must wake me up the day after tomorrow, you know." Keek didn't expect that he would also have the function of a part-time alarm clock, but he also wanted the host to go out and see the world, so he nodded. The Qian family has already sent the task of tailoring clothes and making shoes. The clothes made by farmers are not so delicate. They can be sewn after they are cut, as long as the stitches are fine and fine. The third sister-in-law, Mrs. He, is the best at home for tailoring. She took the task and cut it with cloth. It happened that Mr. Zhuang was about the same size as Jojo Lang, so it would be good to cut it directly according to Jojo Lang's size. In order to make it in time for the next day, Mr. He didn't have to do anything in the afternoon, just tailoring and sewing. Mrs. Jian was a rare and generous one, and even lit an oil lamp for them to use after dark. But it's not too bad, and the clothes are ready in no time. Jian was in charge of making shoes, and the solace were ready-made. They also used the solace for Zhou Yulang. Because he often walks, Feng gave him thick solace, which were very comfortable to walk on. The uppers are made of specially purchased cotton, which is much better than the homemade cloth. The next day, Lao Zhutu and his two sons dug out their best clothes, and after washing their faces, they asked Xiao Qian to dig their daughter out of the bed, ready to go to apprenticeship. Man Bao peeled the candy for a long time last night, turned over, pouted his butt and didn't want to get up. Seeing that she was always digging into the quilt, Mrs. Jian took her coat, lifted the quilt and patted her little butt, and said, "Little aunt, if you don't get up, it will be too late. You are going to apprentice today, so be good." A little. Holding her and helping her put on her clothes, she carried her with her eyes closed to a chair, twisted a towel and wiped her face. The water was warm, but Man Bao was still jolted and barely woke up. Today is Feng's turn to cook. She brought a bowl of egg water from the kitchen and put it on the table. "Little aunt, remember to drink the egg water before you go." As soon as the sun came up, Lao Zhutu took his two sons and led Man Bao to the school. Mr. Zhuang knew that Man Bao would come to apprentice today, so he got up early in the morning and was boxing in the yard at this time. When old Zhutu saw Mr. Zhuang, his back subconsciously bent, and he was always in awe of scholars. Mr. Zhuang smiled slightly. "Zhou Laozhang is here? Please come to the house." Yes, Mr. Zhuang, please." Old Zhou bowed his head and asked Mr. Zhuang to enter first. However, Man Bao knew Mr. Zhuang very well. The one who was very familiar with him first helped Mr. Zhuang to sit down in the study, and then went to help her father. She looked left and right, and when she saw the stove was burning in a familiar place, she was very special. "Be diligent and bring water to them." Zhou Dalin and Tuesday Lang hurried to take over, and Man Bao has never done these things at home. What if they get hot? Mr. Zhuang looked very satisfied, stroked his beard and the old Zhou's head with a smile. "Zhou Laozhang, you have raised a good girl. 10 miles and 8 villages, I have never seen a more clever child than this." That's because the teacher taught him well. Old Zhutu always knew about Man Bao's behavior of lying on the window and stealing lessons. At first, he was distressed, but after the distress, he could only endure the distress and let his daughter steal as much as possible. Study. Because he knows that the greater the ability, the better one can live. As long as Mr. Zhuang does not rush to Man Bao, he will not restrain the child. So for Mr. Zhuang, the old Zhutu has always been in awe and gratitude, and his back is even more curved. However, Mr. Zhuang said with a smile, "It's the child who is good. She is not only smart, but also filial. She knows how to clean the yard for me, and she also knows how to care for her parents and family. It can be seen that my husband's family style is good. I decided to accept this child as a disciple, but also you can only take it with you to teach, and you have to ask Master Bai about entering the school. After all, this school was opened by Master Bai, and he was also invited by Master Bai." The old Zhutu was refreshed and immediately said, "Actually, it is enough to study with Mr. it doesn't matter if you enter the school or not. Old Zhou Tiou blushed for fear that Man Bao would go into the school to be rehabilitated, and said, "Sir also knows that my family is poor." Old Zhou hesitated before he finished speaking, but Mr. Zhuang understood, and he laughed loudly. "Don't worry, old man, since I want to accept Man Bao as a disciple, I will treat her like my own child, so naturally I won't accept anything. Build." He paused and said, "I also know that your family has difficulties, and Man Bao is still young now, so she doesn't need to buy anything for her. In the future, she can read, and she can copy her textbooks here." In fact, before the Zhou family came to the door, he was not quite sure whether the Zhou family would like Man Bao to be his teacher. Now that the Zhou family came, Mr. Zhuang couldn't help but sigh that the Zhou family really doted on Man Bao. "Because I don't often turn on the background of my mobile phone, someone said yesterday that they wanted to ask me a question, so I clicked it and found that several questions in the question were out of date, and I didn't see it, so I was thinking, do you want to? Can't see someone's problem either, let it expire." Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 15. Reading is difficult. There are too few people in this world who can read and write. One is that they have no money, the other is that they have no opportunity, and the third is that they are not smart enough. In the past few villages, there was not a single school. Children had to go to the county town to study, but they were barely able to eat and clothe themselves. Even the wealthier family could not afford the children. It was Master Bai who brought his family to Qilai village. The two sons of his family needed to study, so they went to the county town to hire Mr. Zhuang. Although Mr. Zhuang didn't pass the Jinshi examination, he was also admitted to a government school. He was of good character and morality. If it was just a normal salary, how could he be willing to teach in a small mountain village like Qilai village? Mr. Bai was very reluctant to come up with the reward that made Mr. Zhuang's heart move. Finally, he thought of a way, that is, the Bai family would pay Mr. Zhuang to set up a school, give Mr. Zhuang's bundle repair to their family, and then pay the nearby ones. All the children who are suitable for school are recruited, and each child also pays a bundle of repairs. The money accumulates and the remuneration is generous. This academy was built by Master Bai, but it belongs to Mr. Zhuang, and Mr. Zhuang has always held the students' bundles, so he has the final say on what students to accept. But whether it was out of etiquette or because of his cooperative relationship with Master Bai, whether Man Bao could enter the school to study or not had to tell Master Bai. However, Mr. Zhuang felt that there was no need to rush this matter, because Man Bao was still young, so he could learn some basics with him first. After the new year, she will be a little older, and then she will enter the school. And it is very rare for the Zhou family to be willing to put Man Bao out to study. When Mr. Zhuang first arrived, he enrolled students in several nearby villages. Those adults also knew the benefits of studying. They raised their heads to persuade their sons and nephews to work hard to earn money in the future, and to go to school if they had the chance. When they looked down and saw the desire in the eyes of the girls, but it was persuasion, what are the girls' house doing to join in the fun? Hurry up and go home, can you watch this academic thing? Man Bao was lying outside the window eavesdropping. At first, there was an uproar in Qilai village. This child was young and didn't know anything. But Mr. Zhuang knew that an old man in Qilai village found Master Bai and asked him to get rid of Xiao Qian's post, so that Man Bao would always eavesdrop on lectures and ruin the atmosphere of the village. It was he who stopped. First, Mr. Qian was really diligent and didn't have much to do. Second, he liked Man Bao very much at that time. So, everyone has the desire to learn, so why kill it? Then there were more children eavesdropping on the window. At most, the two windows were full of people, all boys. This is a very immoral behavior in Qilin, but the words are spoken by Mr. Zhuang, and he naturally cannot vary from person to person. Because of this, Several students immediately dropped out of school. Parents came to pick up the repairs, turned around and drove their children to the window to steal school. Mr. Zhuang was in a hurry at the time, but he could only be angry in his heart, just pretending that he couldn't see the person outside the window. But not everyone is the same. At that time, Man Bao was just over a year old. She had just learned to speak, and she was still walking unsteadily. She didn't know enough about the outside world. The children in the house read a few sentences, and when they are unhappy, they will poke the ants with a stick and play for a long time. But the youngest child was 7 years old and the oldest was 10 years old. It was the time when he was the most restless and playful. In less than 5 days, they ran almost by themselves. The parents of the students who dropped out did not say anything when they saw that their children were stealing from school, and they almost forgot the words they had learned before. I was so angry that I had no choice but to send the child back. Since then, few boys have come to eavesdrop, but 1 or 2 girls have begun to lie cautiously outside the window. But before Mr. Zhuang could react, the parents of those girls were the first to attack. They will pull the girl away first, then beat and scold. Can you also listen to reading? I think you have a big heart. If you have time to mow hogweed, go to the field, and pick up firewood on the mountain. There is no job in my eyes, so how can I get married in the future? In fact, there are some ideas here that Mr. Zhuang once thought. For example, boy reading is more important than girls reading. He also values boys more. But I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, Mr. Zhuang thinks more, or it's because people are prone to rebellion when they encounter things they don't like. Anyway, before he knew it, he changed a lot of ideas. In particular, Man Bao is getting bigger and bigger every day, showing that he is getting smarter every day. Lying in the window, she memorized more books than the students who read in the school, and she recognized no fewer words from his manuscript than the students in the school. She is also filial. She knows that after listening to his class, she wants to call him Mr., and she knows that she will clean the yard and clean up the desk for him. He was ill, and the serious students would run out as soon as they heard that they could have a holiday, but she knew that the yard was walking around pouring a cup of hot water for him, and she also carried his clothes and went back to wash her sister-in-law. Will pester her mother to bring him an extra egg. He knew that the Zhou family loved this young girl, but he wasn't sure if they would want her to study. So in order to increase the possibility and let this incident develop in a healthy way, he won't stop repairing, or even ask the Zhou family to buy pen, ink, paper, and inkstone for Man Bao. The Zhou family's level of attention surprised him. Because they not only brought a piece of bacon, but also a suit and a pair of shoes. Mr. Zhuang couldn't help laughing. It seemed that the Zhou family really valued this little disciple enough, so he accepted it with a smile. Old Zhou Tiou breathed a sigh of relief when he saw it, and quickly asked Man Bao to kneel down and kowtow to Mr. Zhuang to serve tea. Mr. Zhuang took a sip of the tea, and gave Man Bao a set of inkstones that he had prepared early in the morning. Oh, and a handful of chopped green onions from the backyard. Mr. Zhuang was very happy to have accepted such a clever disciple. Old Zhutu and his 2 sons were also very happy. Listening to Mr. Zhuang's voice, Man Bao didn't need to buy any books for the time being. The 3 of them glanced vaguely at the things that Man Bao was holding in their arms, thinking that they had all the ink, and then they would buy some paper for the child and all the work would be done. Although there is an extra expense for the family, but this expense is much less than I expected, the 3 of them are of course very happy. Man Bao is also very happy. Everyone is happy to receive a gift, not to mention it was given by Mr. Zhuang, who she likes. Everyone was delighted. The old Zhutu wanted to invite Mr. Zhuang home for dinner, which could be regarded as a celebration of Man Bao's apprenticeship. Mr. Zhuang shook his head and refused, and said, "There are still classes today, so let's come and harass you another day." Only then did the old Zhutu remember that Mr. Zhuang still had a class, and he was a little restless. As he was talking, there were also the sounds of children chasing and making trouble outside, and Mr. Zhuang knew that the children were coming. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 16. Mr. Zhuang patted Manbao's head and said with a smile, "Today you take your pen and ink back first, and tomorrow I will go to Bai's house. The day after tomorrow, you will come back to school. You are still young, you don't need to learn anything, just follow. I recognize some characters, and when you type a little more next year, you can start writing and reading formally." Tomorrow is the 15th, and his school only has 2 days off a month, that is, 2 days in the middle of the month and the 16th. Manbao happily responded and went home with his father and brother, holding a box containing a pen and inkstone. As soon as they got home, Ya and Ertou, who were still at home, came up and touched the inkstone with their hands in awe. As soon as he stretched out his claws, he was knocked off by Feng, and said, "Don't touch it, this is my sister-in-law. You have to stay away in the future, you know." Manbao was unhappy and pulled Ertou and Ya and said, "When I learn to write, I will teach you." Feng pondered for a moment and said, "Little aunt, it's fine with Ya, you can teach Ertou." "Why, Ya is smarter than Ertou." Feng Shi smiled, "It's useless for girls to learn this, Arya has to go hunting for hogweed." Manbao said, "Why is it useless? After learning Chinese characters, you will be able to read books by yourself in the future. There are many stories in the book, but they are beautiful." Feng Shi was amused, "If you have the time to read stories, you might as well go to the fields to pull weeds. We will tell her how many stories you want to hear." Arya couldn't help but said, "Mother, I want to read." Feng patted her on the head, "Don't beat your aunt, have you washed your clothes today? If you haven't, go to the river to wash your clothes." Arya was a little aggrieved, but didn't dare to cry, and lowered her head to pick up the dirty clothes. Manbao puffed up her face in anger, but before she could lose her temper, Feng Shi carried her to a chair and sat down, carefully placing the box in front of her. "Little aunt, where is the paper you brought back earlier? Let Ertou find it for you to read. If you are tired, take a break by yourself, and let me know when you are hungry, and I will bring you something to eat." Manbao stared blankly at the second sister-in-law and felt that this was the second sister-in-law he was familiar with, but the one who said Arya was also the second sister-in-law. Manbao sat on the chair in a depressed mood. Feng Shi couldn't see the sadness on her little face, so she arranged for the little aunt to go to the kitchen to work. Ertu had already run to find the manuscript paper that Manbao had brought back from Mr. Zhuang. Manbao has a lot of words and questions in his heart. He can't ask others, he can only talk to the system. "Keek, why didn't the second sister-in-law let Arya read?" The system simply and rudely told Manbao the results of future human research, because she prefers sons to daughters. This is the first time I have heard the word Manbao, but the word is simple and easy to understand, just look at the meaning of the word. So she opened her eyes slightly and asked, "Why, isn't she also a woman?" "This is the habitual thinking of mankind for thousands of years," the system said. "The root is in the farming society. Production depends on physical strength, and men's strength is stronger than women's, so men are more important. Over time, a deformed ethics has formed. Humans believe that only male descendants are born. It is the incense of the family, and women are only vassals of men." Manbao said, "My parents love me very much, and my brothers also value me." A burst of electricity flashed through the center of the system, and it cut off the conclusions it had deduced without saying anything. The system said, "Only you are the exception. Didn't you realize that the status of the women in your family, except you, is lower than that of men? Keek is a collection system, not an education system, so he doesn't know that some things can't be said to children. He gave Manbao an example: your mother is under your father, and your sister-in-law's status is also your brother's. Below, your nieces are far less treated than your nephews. Usually, your brothers and nephews eat dry rice for breakfast, while your sister-in-law and nieces eat porridge. They can only eat dry rice when the farming is busy, the system said. Your sister-in-law will wash your brother's feet. Water, pour the foot washing water. Your brothers never bring foot washing water to your sister-in-law. Manbao was stunned. My mother said that my brothers have to work hard, so they have to eat hard. The system said, your sister-in-law is also working hard. Manbao thought about it, too. She lowered her head and thought for a while, then asked, is there a day when women's strength is stronger than that of men, and people turn to favor women over men again? The system said, according to the research of future historians, the slave society is more matrilineal clan, that is, a society dominated by women, which should belong to what the host said to prioritize women over men. Manbao asked curiously, are women stronger than men at that time? No, they win by fertility, because they can give birth to children and create labor, so they have a higher status than men, and children only recognize their mothers, not their fathers. Manbao pondered for a moment, then shook his head and said, it's not good. I don't like heavy men, nor do I like heavy women. We are all human. The system seemed to stare at its host in the air, and said after a while, the future is possible, because of the development of science and technology, the improvement of productivity, and the change of production relations. In the future, it will be more about mental work. In terms of intelligence, many girls are no worse than boys. So slowly, the two can stand on the same plane. Manbao did not understand the first half of the sentence, and the system also felt that it was too esoteric to explain the relationship between productivity and production relations, so it directly told Manbao, the economic foundation determines the superstructure. If your sister-in-law can earn more than your brother, if you have a lot of money, then your brother will have to listen to your sister-in-law, and your sister-in-law will be even tougher. Manbao grabbed his face and asked, is that because Arya will make more money than Arya, and Ersa will hurt Arya more and make her illiterate? The system said, theoretically yes. Manbao immediately jumped out of the chair and said solemnly, I think this is wrong. The second sister-in-law should love her because she is her daughter. How can she love her because she can make money? I'm going to persuade her. Second sister-in-law. The system did not block. Manbao hurriedly ran to the kitchen to look for Mr. Feng, and said, second sister-in-law, Ertu and Arya, do you like Ertu more than Arya? While washing the pot, Feng Shi asked with a smile, my aunt, where did you hear this? Ertou and Yat are my children, how could I not like Yat? Then why don't you let Arya read and read? Feng Shi said, as a matter of course, it's useless for her to study. Manbao was stunned. Why is it useless? Reading is very useful, otherwise why do so many people spend money on reading? That's a boy. Do you see any girl who paid money to study in the school? Manbao, I am. Feng Shi couldn't help but laugh. You are different, auntie, and Mr. Zhuang doesn't accept your bundles. He doesn't even plan to ask you to buy textbooks, and it doesn't cost you anything. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Zhu. Chapter 17. Feng Shi and Manbao said, this man can study as a bookkeeper, and he can also be a teacher. If he studies well, maybe he can go to an examiner, but what is the use of a woman studying? When she is old, she will marry, not to going to the ground is just doing housework at home. What does it matter if you don't read? Manbao was speechless, but she always felt that what the second sister-in-law said was wrong. After thinking about it, she finally found a rebuttal opinion. Mr. said, reading is sensible. Feng Shi, it makes sense, you can understand it when you talk about it. Don't worry, Auntie, I will tell Area. Look at us, don't we all know how to read? Who doesn't understand reason? Girls all learn reason from their mothers. Manbao couldn't say anything to her, so he lowered his shoulders and said, is it because Area can make money by reading, so you promise Area to read? Feng Shi, she can't be an accountant, she can't be a teacher, and she can't be an examiner. How can she make money by reading? I don't care. Second sister-in-law, you promise me first. If she can make money by reading, you have to promise her to read and read with me. Okay, okay, Feng said perfunctorily, I promise you, okay, I'm going to start a fire. There's a lot of smoke in the kitchen, so you can go out quickly. Manbao didn't care whether she was sincere or not, just thought she agreed, so Manbao ran to find Yat. The second one found the manuscript and found that the little ant was missing, so he immediately left the manuscript and went to look for the little ant. He was in charge of taking care of the little ant, how could he have lost the little ant? Manbao ran to the river to find Yat. A group of people were gathering by the river to wash clothes. As soon as Manbao came over, everyone greeted her, and a woman said loudly, oh, Manbao has come to wash clothes? You Zhou family have so many girls, how can you still pay for it? Use the little ant. Area also saw Manbao, and hurriedly stopped her from getting too close to the river. Little ant, why did you come here? The milk won't let you come to the river. Manbao said, I'm here to find you. I still have to do laundry, Auntie, go back first. It was the same woman who said, Manbao, you also help your niece. You are not too young anymore. Your family is in trouble now, but you can no longer enjoy the same happiness as before. Manbao felt that what she said was reasonable, and nodded again and again, my niece is right, I will help Area. Coincidentally, she also wanted to try washing clothes. She had never washed clothes before she grew up. Manbao looked at the river, her eyes lit up, and she had long forgotten her purpose of coming here. How dare Area let Manbao do the laundry? She couldn't help but stare at the woman. Sister-in-law 3, I have many children, who does the laundry and who doesn't? What's your business? Hee, Area, this girl has become stubborn. She learned from your fourth uncle? Don't borrow money from my family if you are so stubborn. Manbao was stunned for a moment, suddenly realized, and hurriedly went to appease her. Sanzu daughter-in-law, is your family short of money to spend? Don't worry, when my family earns money, I will return it to your family first. Thinking that she would go to the county town to make money tomorrow, she patted her chest with confidence and said, tomorrow I will go to the county town to make money, and I will return it to your family when I come back. A child of a few years old, still milky, but learns to speak with adults. The first sentence makes people laugh, and when it comes to the second sentence, everyone can't laugh, and some people can't help but ask Area, your family, don't you really want to sell your sister-in-law? Area said sharply, what nonsense are you talking about? How can our family sell my aunt? Manbao also said solemnly, our family does not sell children. How do you make money at this time and a half? Sanzu's daughter-in-law couldn't help but say, this farming is over, there is no work in the fields, and the work in the county can't be your family's turn, right? Manbao proudly said, we plan to sell flowers, you wait, we will definitely be able to make money. Sanzu's daughter-in-law asked, what flower? Manbao opened his mouth and finally said, all kinds of flowers. Area grabbed Manbao and said, little ant, go home quickly. I'll take you to play after I wash my clothes. Manbao shook his head and looked at the clear water with bright eyes, no, Area, I'm an adult, I'll help you do the laundry. How about that? Why not? Manbao said solemnly, I am your aunt, you have to listen to me. When everyone saw it, they helped Area stop Manbao, who didn't know that she was the treasure of the Zhou family. Moreover, my health has been bad since I was a child. If I really touched cold water, it would be good or bad, and the Zhou family's mother-in-law and daughter-in-law would not have to tear them apart. Sanzu's daughter-in-law didn't take it seriously. Who didn't come here when she was a child? When she was so old, she would even burn her meals and wash her clothes. What's so strange? She rolled her eyes, and let Man Bao squat next to her, and gave her her own clothes. Come on Man Bao, I'll teach you how to wash it. Man Bao is not stupid, her own clothes can still be divided from other people's clothes, so she is very happy to ask Sanzu's daughter-in-law, niece-in-law, do I have wages for you to wash your clothes? You don't have to give it to me, just pay off the debt directly. When Sanzu's wife heard this, she immediately put the clothes back, and said sharply, I've seen it, you can really make money, I've never heard of paying someone to wash clothes. If you are my aunt and my elder, of course I don't want it, that's my honor to you, but aren't you my nephew's daughter-in-law? Then of course my elder will have to ask for money to work for you, Man Bao said since he was a child. She understands the truth of following her father. She still wanted to wash the clothes for the three-pillar daughter-in-law, and said, Three-pillar daughter-in-law, don't worry, I don't want you more, I just need a penny, whatever you want. The person who was not used to seeing Sanzu's daughter-in-law also laughed and said, Yes, yes, Sanzu's daughter-in-law, Man Bao is your aunt. If you ask your aunt to wash your clothes, you have to give some filial piety money. Some older people also said, although Man Bao is young, she is of high rank, Sanzu daughter-in-law, don't bully the elders. Sanzu's daughter-in-law was so angry that she simply put her clothes in the water, twisted it and left. Man Bao was still waving from behind, niece-in-law, if you don't want to do laundry next time, let me know and I'll do it for you. It's really cheap. Arya couldn't help but shouted after her, third sister-in-law, I can also wash it for you, it's cheaper. Okay, okay, don't make fun of her, Arya, your family still owes the village head money, someone advised. Arya felt a little lost when she thought of this. Man Bao didn't feel pressured. In her opinion, going to the county town tomorrow will definitely make a lot of money, and naturally he can pay off his debts. Moreover, the village chief is different from his daughter-in-law. Still have to learn. When everyone heard Man Bao's words, they couldn't help but laugh. This child speaks like an adult, do you know what atmosphere is? Man Bao said with a puffed face, I'm not stupid. My nephew and daughter-in-law don't like me, but it doesn't matter. I'm an elder and I don't know her in the same way. Children are the most sensitive. She knows who likes her and who doesn't. But it doesn't matter, who made Sanzu her nephew, and Sanzu's daughter-in-law her niece's daughter-in-law, as an elder, she would not have the same knowledge as them. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 18. The Zhou family never allowed Man Bao to get close to the river. This was the first time that Man Bao had come into contact with the river water at such a close distance. She happily soaked her hands in the water and had a great time. She tilted her head and saw Arya was rubbing her clothes. She also pulled a piece of clothing and rubbed it like her, then put it in the water and stirred it, and then followed everyone's way to wring it dry. Arya watched silently, waited for her to wash it again, and hurriedly washed the clothes and dragged her aunt back home. She was ready to go back and be beaten. Man Bao was still in high spirits. The river is so cool, have a good time, Arya, I'll accompany you to do the laundry in the future. No, Arya refused. Little aunt, don't tell me if you're not clean. If you let the milk know, I'll be beaten. You should play with Erdo at home. No, I'm going to play in the water, Man Bao said, I've already agreed with the second sister-in-law. I'll teach you to read in the future, so you'll take me to do the laundry. Arya hesitated, my mother agreed. Of course, Man Bao said proudly, I've been begging for a long time. Arya was dubious, and as soon as she got home, she dragged her sister-in-law to the kitchen to find her mother. Feng Shi was making breakfast, and when she saw Arya, she asked her to come over to help set the fire, and let Man Bao go out, not to smoke in the kitchen. Arya went to set the fire and asked, "Mother, my aunt said you promised me to read." Feng Shi glanced at her small chest, looked at her Man Bao proudly, and coaxed, "Yes, yes, as long as you can make money by reading, I will promise you." Arya's whole face became bitter when she heard that there was still this precondition. Seeing that she was about to cry, Man Bao couldn't help dragging her out, and said to Feng, second sister-in-law, "Arya hasn't dried her clothes yet. I'll go drying clothes with her." "Hey!" Feng Shi only had time to shout, and Man Bao dragged Arya and ran away. Feng Shi was helpless and had no choice but to set the fire by himself. Man Bao pulled Arya into the yard and whispered, "Are you stupid? You said you need to read and write to make money, so how can you make money if you don't know how to read?" The tears in Arya's eyes couldn't be shed. She clarified the sentence with hindsight, blinked her eyes, and asked with a sob, "All right, how can this still be done?" "Anyway," the second sister-in-law agreed. Arya thought about it and felt a little unreliable. "Then, if you still can't make money after studying for a while, why won't my mother tell me to study?" Man Bao said sternly, "It must be that your studies are not good enough or deep enough, so you can't make money, so in order to make money, you have to continue to study." Arya nodded thoughtfully, "Little aunt, I think you're right." Arya became happy again and went to dry the clothes. Man Bao was short and handed her clothes on the side. The second head ran in from outside, sweating profusely, and saw Man Bao standing under the drying rack, so he ran up and asked, "Little aunt, where have you been just now? It made me look for it." "You're stupid, I'm right by the river." Ertou let out an "oh," then remembered something, jumped up and said, "I didn't tell you to go to the river, okay, second sister, woo woo woo." Arya covered his mouth, and Man Bao threatened him, "If you dare to shout out, I won't give you candy in the future. Ertou is very wronged, if you don't let me speak out, then don't tell me." Ertu had tears in his eyes, but changed his words, "Little aunt, I have found all your manuscripts for you, you should go back and read." Man Bao, "Don't worry, let's go pick wildflowers. I've already figured out how to make money." Ertou and Arya thought it was unreliable, but what could be done? This was requested by their aunt, and she also said, "After breakfast, you can go with you to open up wasteland and take care of your aunt." So everyone hurrahed to the foot of the mountain again, and Chu Yulang came to open up wasteland for 2 days in a row, and the land at the foot of the mountain looked much better. It was only about an acre, and most of the weeds had been cut, but those vines were difficult to remove, and some of the roots were sold so deep that Shirulang might not be able to dig up 3 trees in a day. At this time, his hands were scratched a lot, and he was squatting on the ground and staring at the root that could not be hoed. Man Bao also squatted down to look, so hard to hoe. Thursday Lang looked at her with red eyes, "So why did you ask me to open up the wasteland?" Man Bao said confidently, "Who asked you to gamble?" Chu Hulang was choked, and continued to bow his head in sadness, "The hoe is dull, and it can't be dug out at all. There must be no way to find the right way." Man Bao, who was reminded by Keek, snorted, dragged him aside, and asked the 5th and 6th brothers to dig. Wu Wulang held the hoe and said, "Dig so far." Man Bao waved his hand vigorously, "Listen to me." Wu Wulang could only listen to her, put the hoed soil aside, and slowly dug a big hole in the direction of the root of the tree, and then Rukuro pulled the root with one force. Everyone was silent. Man Bao hummed proudly and asked Shiro to continue digging the roots, while she and Datu went up the mountain to find beautiful flowers. "By the way," she said about her plan, "let the second brother help us weave some beautiful baskets. We will arrange the baskets with flowers like yesterday, and then sell the baskets." Isn't that selling baskets? Ertu said, my father made up the baskets, and the money from the sale must be given to my father, he won't give it to us. Manbao said, it's not the kind of big basket, it's the kind of small basket that my second brother made for me. Dia said, that kind of small basket can't hold anything, so no one will buy it. When the second brother made it up for me, didn't you all like it? The children were entangled, I like it, but adults won't buy it. Arya said, the child has no money. Then we'll find rich kids. Everyone thought it was impossible, how can a child have money? They don't have them, so they think that children all over the world are the same. For the same reason, Manbao said, how come there is no, I have money, then there must be children like me, maybe more rich than me, let's find them. Only then did Manbao put forward his ultimate goal, when the time comes, we will put sugar in a basket and sell it. After hearing that there was sugar in the basket, everyone became more confident and followed them to find wildflowers. Although it was autumn, there were also a lot of wildflowers on the mountain. It didn't take long for everyone to hold a bosom of flowers. There were full treasures, and the big head and the big girl became more courageous, leaving behind the three brothers who were still working hard. Le Dion went home. Weavu Lang and Saturday Lang looked envious, they only hated how old they were, so that they didn't take advantage of Yeomei. But when they turned to look at the fourth brother who was squatting and mowing the grass, they felt much better. After all, they could go to the county town tomorrow, but the fourth brother was still going to open up the wasteland. Manbao ran home to find Zhou Yulang, but Zhou Dalan and Zhou Dalan went to the ground. Although the busy farming season is over, the land needs to be reorganized, and the land will be raised for half a year, so that it will be ready for planting in the spring of next year. When Lang was not on Tuesday, Manbao could only find his father. Father, make up a little basket for me, just like the second brother made me. Give the book friends fee a reward and more, thank the book friends for their support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 19. Old Zhutu was reluctant to move. What are you doing with that little basket? You shouldn't eat or drink. You can make money by making flower baskets. Manbao told her father about her plan, only omitting the sugar. She said confidently, when the time comes to earn money, I can give my father a fortune. Old Zhou Tiou touched the shredded tobacco on his waist, but he didn't want to smoke it. He had already decided to sell all the cigarettes in the house. Although it was not worth much, he could still pick up some medicines for the old lady. Old Zhou Tiou glanced at his daughter, shook his head and said, Dad doesn't care about the hard work, so I still don't do it. He didn't want to mess around with a bunch of kids. Everyone's faces showed disappointment, so Manbao went to her mother for support. She couldn't bear Manbao's coquettishness, so she could only say to Lao Zhutu, what a big deal, you are idle when you are idle, just make up a few for the children, that one is easy. When the wife spoke, the daughter and a group of grandchildren watched eagerly. Old Zhutu had no choice but to go to the shack and drag his second son out of the shack to weave bamboo baskets for them. Seeing that Datu and Ertu were also squatting down to watch the fun, he brought them over and said, come on, Grandpa will teach you, you are not too young, it's time to learn a little craft. There are not many people who know bamboo weaving in the village, but not particularly few, but this craft is not something you can master after you have learned it. At least the whole village, young and old, can sell bamboo weaving to the market or county town. The bamboo baskets he weaves are strong and dense, and even the wheat cannot leak out, but some people make bamboo baskets and bamboo baskets. It can be used a few times and the bamboo strips will deviate. If there is a hole, the thing will be useless. The craftsmanship of Lao Zhutu belongs to this latter category. However, he can't weave the big bamboo basket, so the one that the little girl is holding is only as big as her little head. Isn't it good to weave it? That's just a piece of shit, putting 10 eggs in the sky, and Lao Tzu felt that it would not be damaged if he carried it for 10 years. Because he didn't take this thing seriously, and he used all the bamboo strips that Erlang discarded, so he didn't feel bad and let his grandchildren follow him. Manbao was also very moved when he saw it. He also took bamboo sticks to learn, and also pulled da ya and er ya. Old Zhutu glanced at his two granddaughters. This kind of craft should not be learned by girls, but he glanced at the bamboo sticks on the ground. Old Zhutu thought, learn, this bamboo stick is very difficult to use again after one use. Now, he's not the second son, so he can't come back. Once the bamboo strips are used up, there is no need to weave any more. Manbao didn't know his father's conspiracy, and stared at his actions seriously. Old Zhou said to her, "You little baby, you can't bend the bamboo sticks, what are you doing here? Be careful not to hurt your hands." She sat on a stool to bask in the sun, smiled, and waved to Manbao. "Manbao, come here and teach you." Manbao happily ran over with the bamboo stick in his arms. "Mother, do you still know how to weave bamboo? I've watched it all my life, and even if I haven't tried it, I know it in my heart." Jian was ill and couldn't do heavy work, but this kind of sitting and bending bamboo sticks was fine. She just sat like this, while weaving, and explaining to Manbao that this kind of small bamboo weaving was not difficult, and the speed was very fast. Jian's first finished product came out soon. Manbao took it and compared the two that her father had already made, wrinkled her little nose and said, "Mother, you are so ugly." Lao Tzu laughed proudly, "Your father has already made a lot of bamboo weaving, of course it looks better than your mother's." She was not discouraged, and he waved to Manbao, "Bring a few more and I'll make up another one." She smiled and said, "Practice makes perfect, you can learn something you don't know a few times." Manbao felt that what her mother said made sense, so she dragged another bamboo stick to her mother. "Originally, I moved from my grandfather to my grandma's to study, but I felt that my grandma made it ugly. The 4 children who just moved back to my grandfather's side looked left and right, and I didn't know who would be better to learn from. Manbao disliked them. You can't be half-hearted like this. Forget it, big head and 2 heads, you can follow your father to learn, and big girl and 2 girls come to learn from your mother." Only then did the 4 children settle down and no longer move around. She looked at it with a smile, and felt that it was her daughter who made up her mind. Manbao was the most leisurely person in the audience. It was on the surface. In fact, she was also very busy. As soon as the bamboo basket was made, Manbao took it and discussed with Keek, "Do you think the bamboo basket made by my mother can be used?" "Start." The system said, "There is no item in this world that cannot be a commodity, you can carry out secondary processing." Manbao, "Then I will give it the most beautiful flower." Manbao began to choose the most beautiful flowers she thought were the most beautiful flowers from the flower pile, and then put them into her mother's flower basket, and the colors were mixed into a pile, but she liked it very much, and she was overjoyed. "This flower basket is beautiful at first glance." Keek was silent for a while before saying, "There may not be many people in this world who have the same aesthetics as the host." Manbao recited the sentence over and over again, and then he reacted with hindsight, "Keek, do you think my flower basket is ugly?" Flower baskets are not like this. The system couldn't help but searched for some pictures in the encyclopedia, and then threw them to Manbao. "This kind of ability is called flower baskets, you call it, bamboo trash cans with flowers. Or a trash can of failed products." Manbao could no longer hear what Keek was talking about. She stared at the pictures with bright eyes and almost rolled on the ground happily. So beautiful, Keek, will you send me a gift?" The old Zhutu and she saw their daughter hugging her broken bamboo basket and drooling from laughter. The couple were silent for a while, and then took another look at the messy flowers she had inserted into the bamboo basket. They felt that they had to pay attention to the beauty and ugliness education of their children. Really, how could she be so happy with such an ugly bamboo basket? The first 4 children lowered their heads, wishing they could bury them in the bamboo sticks. My sister-in-law must be thinking about their plan to make money again, but can such ugly bamboo baskets really be sold? The system glanced at Manbao's points and said, "Host, your points are enough to buy bamboo baskets, but you don't have the authority to open the mall, so I can't buy them for you." It was the first time Manbao heard about the mall and asked, "What is a mall?" "It's just like your market, where the host can buy all kinds of things, as well as flower baskets." "Then when can I open the mall?" Manbao felt that if the mall could open, wouldn't she go to the market whenever she wanted in the future? "It can be done when the host's accumulated points reach 1000 and there is no historical debt." Manbao slumped his shoulders and learned how to bargain with her second brother. "It's a lot, can't it be cheaper?" Keek ruthlessly rejected her, "No way." After a long time, Manbao grew up a little, and she became smarter. One day she saw the kind of candy that Keek often bought her in the mall, and then she thought of what happened today, and her reaction was an afterthought. "Come over, Kiko, you fool me." "Keek, don't fool you, are you willing to move forward?" As for which one is better at flickering, it's not Keek, but Lin Qingguan next door and next door. Yes, it's Lin Qingguan in Lin's Ronghua. She relied on sincere and kind flickering to do her part in the unification of the world. Li, book lovers who haven't read it can take a look at it, it's already fattened to the end. Farmer's Blessed Girl. Author, Yu Yuzu. Chapter 20. No, Manbao decided to do it by herself, so she asked Keek not to remove the picture, she just clumsily arranged her flower basket according to the picture. Arya saw that the little ant was spoiling flowers, and she didn't care about going to school to weave bamboo, so she ran over quickly. "Little ant, what are you doing?" "I'm going to arrange flower baskets." Arya said, "The flowers are all mutilated by you." Manbao blinked, threw away the flower decisively, moved his butt back, and let Arya go on. "I'll teach you." "Everyone sounds funny, she can make flowers like this herself, how about teaching Arya?" However, Manbao really taught Arya. She was unlucky, but she had a lot of ideas. She instructed Arya to wrap the flowers around the bamboo basket. Arya didn't want to do what she said, but if you don't do what she said, Auntie, she can keep talking in your ear, and you must be forced to listen to her. Arya can't do anything about it. Just thinking about wildflowers, there are so many on the mountain, it's not enough to go up the mountain to pick them, otherwise you can pick a little more on the road tomorrow. Thinking about it this way, Arya tangled and tangled as she said, and Arya found that the bamboo basket had become a little different. After the entanglement came out, I put a few more flowers in it. Arya looked at the ugly bamboo basket made by this grandmother and was stunned. "Oh my God," Arya couldn't help but exclaimed, "I am so powerful." Manbao happily clapped his little hands and tried his best to claim credit. "It's mainly me who taught you." "Of course, Arya, you're also very good. You can do whatever I want you to do." Old Hutu also saw this flower basket, nodded slightly and said, "It's okay to look at, but it's not something you should eat or drink. It's also eye-catching." "Who buys it?" Qian also liked it very much, and said, "This one is not well made, so I won't take it away. Let's keep it at home for your sister-in-law to play with." Arya responded with a crisp sound and began to arrange other flower baskets. The first time it was handmade, it was more cooked the second time, and Manbao has other styles. Adjust the position and method of wrapping, and then change the color of the flower, and it becomes a different flower basket. Pretty. Manbao felt that he had to take Arya to the county town tomorrow, because in this way, If the flower basket was damaged, it could be repaired, and the fifth and sixth brothers would not be entangled in the flowers. She thought so, and she told her father the same. Old Jotiu thought, since all the daughters are released anyway, it's okay to have an extra granddaughter. But thinking that the big girl is bigger than the second girl, it makes no sense that the second girl will go and the big girl will not go, so she waved her hand and said, take both the big girl and the second girl with you. Da ya and ya couldn't help cheering. Da tou and tou were so envious, they pestered the old Jotiu and said, Grandpa, Grandpa, what about us? You stay at home to help your fourth uncle open up the wasteland, go to mow the grass, and pick up some stones. So many people go to the county town, don't eat, don't drink, your father and the others have to take care of you, so they don't have time. Datu immediately said, we don't eat bread, we just drink water, and we don't let dad bring it. There are fifth and sixth uncles. Old Hutu ruthlessly refused, no, it's such a long way to go back and forth, and if you don't eat, when you go back and starve, you have to pay for medicine. The two of them looked at the sister in unison. Old Jotiu also glared at Manbao. Manbao is very aware of current affairs. She felt that she couldn't make any progress, otherwise she might be deprived of her right to go out, so she quietly comforted Datu and Ertu, when I come back, I will give you candy, if I make money this time, let's go. I'll take you there next time. Datu and Ertu could only bow their heads in disappointment. Okay, little ant, you have to keep your word. Don't worry, when did I stop talking? By the time the family came back from the fields for dinner, the olds Hutu and she had already made 25 bamboo baskets for them. Manbao was so happy that he wanted to wrap all the bamboo baskets with flowers, so Da Ya stopped learning bamboo weaving and came to help Ya. Seeing the eldest brother and the second brother, Manbao also unceremoniously pulled them in and asked them to continue to help make small bamboo baskets. Zhou Dalan and Zhou Zhoulang also felt that it was a waste of time and bamboo sticks, but because Manbao insisted, and both parents went off to coax Yaomei, they had no choice but to coax. Soon, the discarded bamboo strips left by Zhou Yulang were used up. Manbao aimed at the intact bamboo strips, and Lao Zhutu said solemnly, that's the bamboo strips that your second brother hasn't used yet, you can't waste it, and you have done 50, which is enough. In fact, if she can sell one, Lao Zhutu thinks it is a miracle. Manbao can only give up the idea of continuing to harm the second brother bamboo strips, and wrap beautiful flowers with Ariadaya. Of course, she is responsible for moving her mouth, and Daya area is responsible for doing things. The flowers and plants they picked at noon soon ran out, but there were still about 20 bamboo baskets that were not decorated with flowers, so Lao Zhutu waved his hand and said, okay, let's pick it up after dinner, and leave. It's a long time before the sun goes down. He also warned, be sure to go home before sunset, but don't be hit by dew. Everyone responded happily, and quickly ran up to the mountain after dinner. Of course, Weavu Lang and Saturday Lang would follow. Old Jotiu looked at Shiro's dying appearance, and scolded, you go too, your sister is going up the mountain, and you, a brother, don't know how to take care of it. Thursday Lang went down for 3 days in a row, and what he did was the best physical strength to open up the wasteland. Once he sat down, he didn't want to move. At this time, he was reprimanded by his father, so he could only slowly get up from the stool and go out. Old man Zhou was angry when he saw him like this, turned his head and said to Zhou Dalan and others, you should pay attention to him in the future. He will not be allowed to go to the county town for 2 years. If he finds out that he is gambling, chop off the hand I gave him. Zhou Dalan, Tuesday Lang, and Wednesday Lang both responded. Okay, it's been so many days, and you're too angry. You should think about how to save some money to pay off the debt you owe, Qian said, boss, go to the county town tomorrow and ask if you have any questions. If there is no work, if there is, you don't have to come back, just do the work there, and let the old 5 and the 6 bring the children back. Joe Dallin said, I'm afraid that the jobs in the county will not be easy to find. It's hard to find you, but you can't find it at home, you can't sit still at home, Chien said. I don't know what Guanjing will be in the spring next year. If the weather is as smooth as this year, even if you can't save money, at least you won't be short of food. Where? But if it is dry or flooded, it will be difficult. The old Zhutu touched the cigarette stick and said, don't worry, I went to ask the third uncle, and the third uncle said that even if this year is not as good, it will not be much worse. Qian Shi breathed a sigh of relief when he heard the words. The third uncle is the best crop handle in the village. The old man who has grown old can basically see the weather in the next 6 months. Since he said that, the wind and rain next year should not be too bad. Qian's contented, he picked a lot from the mountain, and the full treasure of all kinds of wildflowers and fine grass was also satisfied, and felt that tomorrow must be a good day. The system just watched silently without saying a word. However, the next day, when Manbeo got up from the bed and ran to see the flower baskets she had installed, she found that under the dim firelight, the flowers in the small flower baskets she had placed below were all folded or lost. I had a dream last night. In the dream, I went to set up a street stall in desperation. I can't remember what it was selling, because it's not important. The important thing is that a handsome policeman found me, gave me a photo, and let me keep an eye out for this guy. He's a drug dealer, and he might come here to talk to someone recently, and he asked me to take a picture of the guy who did it. I agreed, and then the man came, and he was shopping behind me. I was so frightened that I didn't dare to take a picture, and planned to wait until he left. As a result, when he left, I forgot whether he was standing in the row behind me to buy things, or the things in the second row behind me. Did I talk to the 3 people here, or the 3 people behind? So I was stunned and woke up from the dream in a panic.